There is a massive crisis heading straight for the global economy. We're talking trillions of dollars. And while most of the world seems to be looking the other way, one person is already spending tens of billions to get ready for it. And what they're building, well, it could completely reshape the future of technology as we know it.
So, how big are we talking? The forecasts are pointing to a $10 trillion hit to the global economy in the first year alone. Just to put that number in perspective for you, that is a bigger economic shock than the 2008 financial crisis and the COVID pandemic combined. And the source of all this risk, it's probably not what you think. Okay, here it is. This is the heart of the problem. About 90% of the most advanced computer chips on Earth, the brains behind every AI, every smartphone, every single data center, they all come from one place, a single island, Taiwan. This is without a doubt the single biggest choke point in the entire global economy right now. So you have to ask, how did we get here? How did one island, and really it's one single company, become the absolute linchpin for, well, everything? The company's name is TSMC. That stands for Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company. Now, these guys make what are called sub-7 nanometer chips. What on earth does that mean? Well, think of it like this. The tiny transistors on these chips are so small you could cram millions of them onto the tip of a pencil. It's that microscopic scale that gives us the insane speed and power for our modern world. And TSMC, they're the undisputed king. Apple, Nvidia, AMD, Tesla, they all get their best stuff from TSMC. For the last century, everyone said oil was the world's most critical resource, but that's old news. Today, chips are so much more fundamental. I mean, sure, oil powers our cars and planes, but chips power literally everything else. Our entire digital world, the stock market, our military, it all runs on these tiny little slices of silicon. So the conclusion is pretty stark, and you just can't avoid it. If something happens to TSMC, the global economy basically shuts down. We'd be staring down an immediate, catastrophic shortage of advanced chips that would last for years. We're talking 3 to 5 years minimum. You just can't build these incredibly complex, multi-billion-dollar factories overnight. Which, of course, brings us to the main threat. China's leader, Xi Jinping, has been very public about this. He's ordered his military to be ready to take Taiwan, and with it, the world's most valuable industry, by a very specific date. And this isn't some far-off idea. The pressure is building right now. The Chinese military has already run massive drills that simulate a full blockade of the island. Their ships and jets are now crossing the unofficial border in the Taiwan Strait almost daily. And it's all building towards something the military calls the Davidson window, that 2027 deadline for the PLA to be completely ready for a full-scale invasion. And look, this isn't just speculation or some internet rumor. This timeline comes directly from the top. We're talking about people like Admiral Philip Davidson, who was the commander of all U.S. forces in the Pacific. He's the one who went before Congress and laid out this exact timeline. So what are the actual odds of this happening? Well, if you look at prediction markets, where people are literally betting their own money on the outcome, the chance of a military conflict is sitting at around 15%. Now, 15%, you might hear that and think, that's not that high. But let me ask you this. If an expert told you there was a 15% chance your house was going to burn to the ground next year, would you just shrug it off? No way. You would buy insurance. You take it very, very seriously. While a 15% chance of a $10 trillion global meltdown is a risk that no sane person should be willing to take. And that brings us right back to the one person who is not ignoring this risk. In fact, you could say Elon Musk is building the world's most expensive insurance policy against this very scenario. He's calling it Terafab. And it is a wildly ambitious plan for Tesla to build its very own cutting-edge chip factory right on U.S. soil. And they're not just trying to build what exists today. No, they're aiming for 2 nanometer technology, which is even more advanced than what the world's best can do at scale right now. Just to give you a sense of how massive this is, the goal for Terafab is to eventually crank out 1 million wafers a month. That's about 70% of the entire current output of TSMC, the global monopoly. I mean, think about that. One single facility aiming to do what the undisputed world leader does. It is a monumental undertaking. So why would you even try something this crazy? Because everything Musk is building for the future depends on it. Full self-driving, the Optimus robot, the Dojo AI supercomputer, the Grok AI model, the new cybercab robo-taxis, all of it. Every single thing requires a steady, guaranteed supply of the world's most advanced chips.
You see, Terafab is the final, most important piece of a master plan for something called vertical integration. Imagine this feedback loop. Tesla's cars collect data, which is used to train AI models on their own Dojo supercomputer, which runs on custom chips they designed that are made in their own Terafab, and then put into new cars and robots that are built by their own Optimus robots, all of it powered by Tesla Solar. It's a completely closed loop. You control your own destiny, with zero outside dependencies.
Now, as huge as this is for Tesla, this story is actually way bigger than just one company. What Musk is doing is really just the leading edge of a massive global movement that's changing everything about tech and geopolitics.
It's a concept called sovereign AI, and it's a really powerful idea. For any country to be secure and competitive in the 21st century, it must control its own AI infrastructure. That means the chips, the data centers, and the energy. This isn't just about business anymore, it's become a matter of national security.
And you can see this scramble happening all over the world. The U.S. CHIPS Act has unleashed more than $500 billion in private investment. TSMC itself is now spending $165 billion to build new factories in Arizona. Europe has its own CHIPS Act. Even Saudi Arabia is spending a fortune on data centers. This isn't just a trend. It's a complete rewiring of the global supply chain, and hundreds of billions are on the move.
Okay, so this is a giant geopolitical story, but what does it actually mean for you? How does a crisis like this translate into risk and maybe even opportunity in your own life?
Well, if you're an investor, you've got to ask yourself a pretty serious question. How much of my portfolio is secretly dependent on the stability of one small island? I mean, amazing companies like Nvidia, Apple, and AMD, they're all exposed to this one specific risk. And on the flip side, you have companies that are building their own lifeboats, creating resilience against exactly this kind of shock.
So there are two big takeaways here for you. First, your career. All this money being spent to bring manufacturing back home, that's going to create a massive boom in good jobs, engineering, tech, construction. Second, strategy. You need to pay attention to the leaders who are playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers, the ones building businesses that can actually withstand these global shocks. So here's the bottom line. The single most important supply chain in the world is under direct threat. The decades-long era of peaceful globalization that built our modern world is ending. And the real question we all have to ask ourselves is, when it finally breaks, who will be left standing?